VHS.
New Memorex videotape. Even after 100 recordings, you'll wonder, is it live or is it Memorex?
People could suddenly experience home entertainment like never before.
Relax, Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movie specials on one cassette. Terrific!
They took the world by storm.
The advanced videotape for today's VCRs.
In 1976, and I had the great idea of releasing my band's music on it in 2024. So is this pointless? Maybe. Time consuming? Definitely. But kinda cool? Yeah, I reckon. Welcome back to a new episode of Zach's Rabbit Hole Project's unofficial title, but this one was definitely one of them. It was recently the 1-year anniversary of my band Cartoon Head's first ever EP, and we wanted to do something special to mark the occasion. So we got thinking, and the whole EP's aesthetic was around camcorder footage and that 90s sort of aesthetic. So it naturally made sense to do a VHS release. I actually had this idea way back when the EP was first released, but we didn't have enough time to sort it all out by the time the EP had actually came out. So it was really cool to see this project through and finally be able to hold in my hands what I imagined in my brain so long ago. So let's get into it and see what madness went into this release. First of all, I needed to make a list of all of the things that I needed to make this project a reality. This list ended up including VHS tapes, obviously, artwork for the VHS boxes, artwork for the VHS labels, a printing service for a thick cardstock, sticker printing service for the labels, an actual video to be recorded onto the VHS tapes, a VCR and a HDMI conversion box. I got into eBay and started searching for every single VHS tape that I could possibly find. My collection's looking like this now.
Whoa, what speed on that dog walk?
So number 1 on the list was quickly ticked off. So then I got to work on the artwork for the VHS box. I referenced a bunch of VHS designs from back in the day. I really wanted this to like mirror the time and have like a vintage style to it. So I referenced a bunch of those. This is what I ended up coming up with for the artwork. I'm super happy with how this turned out. It was really satisfying to like reimagine the artwork in a new way compared to the original and kind of completely change it up, except for on the labels where I actually kept the original magazine style font. So I thought it just looked so cool with the blue background on the actual labels. And I think it came out pretty nice in the end. So that's another one ticked off. So this is where the rabbit hole kind of begins. I've got the artwork. I've got the idea, and surely it's as easy as just printing it all off, right? Nope, it's never that easy. This is the part of the story where I just become like a pro at knowing different card stocks and different print sizes and stuff like this for like 1 week. And to be honest, I've held on to like 2% of that knowledge, but here's the important stuff that actually ended up making a big difference in the end, which is important to know if you're doing a similar thing. Here's a list of all the specs that I chose on the order for the box artwork. And another thing that was difficult was finding a template that would actually be the right size, so I've linked that down below with credit to the person who actually originally made it. A really important thing to remember with a box artwork is to tick the keep actual size box. The template I've linked below is the perfect size, so you don't have to mess with any of the dimensions or stretch it or anything after the fact, which I was scared about. I thought it was going to come and be like tiny or something, but it was fine in the end. So make sure you tick that keep actual size box. I couldn't seem to find many people in the UK that have been through this process, so I think in America it's ledger paper, that's the correct size. But I did some research and it turns out A3 size is actually a little bit bigger than ledger paper, so you should have plenty of room if you use A3 paper instead of ledger paper. Before ordering anything, I did a little test on A4 size paper, so I have this like tiny version of the box, but it was just to make sure before doing the big order that it folded and printed in all the right places and everything. So I have this little cute version now, which is lovely. As soon as I knew that that was all good, I placed the order, they all came, and luckily it was all the right size and it fit perfectly in the end. The company that I used for the card printing were called Print Pond, and they did a great job. The quality is really crisp and I was like super happy with how it all came out. So on to the actual labels. So I ordered the sticker labels from stickersinternational.co.uk. I ordered the front and side labels and they came out great as well. I was super happy with the glossy finish. It was like really reminiscent of the old school tapes that you get when you were younger. So that's it for the actual physical preparation of the tapes and the printing and all that. Onto the actual media itself. Further down the rabbit hole we go. I wanted to offer something really special here for people who actually would play this thing, like who actually have a VCR setup in 2024. So alongside putting all of the music videos from the EP on there, for the songs that didn't have music videos, I put some unreleased camcorder footage on there just from us actually recording the EP and just messing about in the studio basically. We actually set up a studio in a pub cellar because that was the only place that we could get to record this. So it was pretty fun going back and seeing all of that old footage and reminiscing on the madness of having to wake up at 6 a.m. to record before the pub would open so it didn't annoy all of the people in there. It turns out you can't just drag and drop files onto a VHS tape. Who knew? So, You'll need an AV to HDMI converter, an AV cable, a HDMI cable, a VCR, a TV, and a laptop to actually record the video from. Connect this all together, do a few tests, and then finally we can press record on the VCR, play on the laptop, and sit back and relax for 60 hours in total, while this same process is repeated for 20 tapes. I kind of messed up getting the 180-minute tapes here. I should have thought this through. They already had stuff recorded on them from the past, so I had to make sure that I went over and recorded on the blank tape for the full 180 minutes, which made this huge waiting time. So yeah, that kind of took a few days to get through. But lucky me, I had plenty to do because the VHS boxes and labels just arrived. The prints came out so good, but the only thing I'd change is to get a thicker cardstock in future. The 300 GSM thickness that I chose definitely did the job, but it was noticeably thinner than the old boxes I had lying around for a reference. So I think in future I'd definitely go a little bit thicker on that cardstock. Putting together the actual boxes was as easy as just folding, scoring, and then cutting and sticking. It was like a big arts and crafts project. It was actually quite therapeutic to just sit there and put a podcast on or some music and just like go through all these 20 different boxes. The template had some really useful lines for the cutting and scoring as well, so it all worked out pretty smoothly in the end. When it came to actually gluing the boxes together, I didn't even think about what type of glue that would be used. I just assumed that like super glue would do the trick. I noticed that when I was doing the smaller version on the actual paper that it sort of just like soaks into the paper, so I was wondering if that would happen with the thicker cardstock as well, and it did. And it affected how the actual ink looked as well, so I needed to figure out what other types of glue would work and do some tests. After some testing, I found that PVA glue was actually the best because it seemed to just like not bother the ink or go through the paper or anything, so I ended up using that. I did a couple layers of that just to make sure it was really sturdy, and it seemed to do the job, so that's what I went with. Another thing I tested was a side pull design instead of the box that opens from the top and bottom. I think this is actually a better aesthetic and the side label would show, and I thought that would be nice, but after testing I think the cardstock was just a little too flimsy and it would eventually break the box from the wear and tear of pulling it in and out. So maybe in the future we'll do a release and do a side pull instead, but for this one the box ended up working a lot better. After all the boxes were finally put together, I started applying the labels to the tapes and getting some residue off as well, because these were like used like 20 years ago and they still had labels all over them. Our singer Key also designed these really like vintage looking adverts for the EP, and I thought that would be so cool to use as an insert for the actual VHS tape to go along with a sticker as well, to really just finish it off and make it that bit more special. They came out perfect even from my like crappy printer that's years old and not made for photos at all, but Key killed that design and I just needed to use it somewhere, and this was like the perfect situation to do it. It was so satisfying to finally see all these tapes stacking up on my desk as I was getting through putting the labels on and putting the boxes together. Finally, the thing that I imagined so long ago was finally coming to fruition. So here it is, the physical thing that was just a thought for so long. It's really cool. We ended up doing a super limited run of this. We released 20 altogether. We ended up doing 3 one-of-a-kind limited edition colours as well. We did a pink, yellow and blue one because that was the EP colours and the aesthetic. Sorry to any Barbie, Pokemon or Monsters Inc. fans, because may have taped over those films, so sorry about that. I think part of my childhood died when I did that as well. I'm super happy with how these turned out when I eventually got through the rabbit hole and out the other side. I'm planning on making more documenting the process sort of project videos like this, as well as videos on my music, video and photo as well. So stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching.